Hello, this is Shan Chandrasekhar welcoming you to another delightful part of our programming. As part of the Achievers, we featured some of the finest, highly accomplished people from around the world. We have a very distinguished guest on the program here with us today. She's internationally well known, one of the most popular stars, I should say. She's the star idol from Hollywood who has captured the hearts of millions of people around the world. And she's popularly known, of course, from her great performance in Young and The Restless and many other titles that we will tell you during the course of our interview. We are delighted to have in the program your favorite, Tonya Lee Williams. Tonya, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shan. I blush at that introduction. It was so wonderful. Thank you.
Our hearty congratulations to you. You've done some outstanding work. I don't know where to begin with you. At such a young age, you've accomplished a great deal. Hearty congratulations on your award. Tell us about this.
Yes, I was fortunate enough. I've won 2 NAACP awards in the past years, but the new nominations just came out, and I'm nominated for another one.
Tell me a little bit about your career, your acting career. I mean, it's fascinating. You were born in England. Your dad is a Supreme Court judge.
Yes.
And he's currently in Africa serving.
Yeah, he's in Rwanda, actually, with the UN on the Hutu-Tutsi tribunals. He's been there for almost 5 years. It's been really fascinating. A really incredible story about that is I was actually asked by World Vision right after the Hutu-Tutsi, after the war had happened in, I think it was 96 or 97, World Vision asked 4 or 5 actors from daytime to go to Rwanda and to bring more awareness to the daytime audiences about what was going on there. So here I got to go in the, I think it was 96, and literally a year and a half later, my father got posted there, and it's just a weird synchronicity of events that happened for that to happen, but it was really wonderful.
That's great. Now, you became such a popular star. Tell us about your entry to Hollywood.
Well, as I like to tell people, I'm a 20-year overnight success. I mean, it really takes a long time, and I love to tell young people that it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of focus, and it's about being diligent and training and listening for the signs of your opportunity and being ready when those opportunities come along. My career started pretty much when I was very young. I didn't think I was going to be someone in the entertainment industry, but I'm sure, like yourself and like I was, we were put in the arts as children, just to give us more well-rounded education. I was doing ballet when I was maybe 3 years old. Started that.
And you were playing the piano when you were
When I was 5, I started playing the piano because this is just something that culturally Caribbean people did with their children. You just made sure that they were well-rounded people. And as I went on through life, though, we left Jamaica when I was 5. I was born in England first, and then my parents moved to Jamaica when I was 1, and we moved back, my mother and I, to England when I was 5 because my parents split up. And I stayed in England till I was almost 12, still doing piano and tap and jazz and ballet and all the things, but not thinking that this was going to be my career in any way. And I got to Canada when I was 12. We moved to a town just outside of Toronto called Oshawa, which was, it was fertile ground for a young child to be in. Oshawa was like being in the woods at that time. I had a creek running at the back of the house. I bike ride. I did everything that young kids should have the opportunity to do. But I continued to work at my craft in the industry. In fact, in high school, I loved music so much. I started tenor sax. I started playing that. And then I wanted to learn French horn, which I did. Then I took violin, which I did. And I had to make up for the fact that I was a terrible academician. Is that it? Was terrible in school. I can't even tell you, had no aptitude, had no interest in the mathematics and the science and the geographies and any of that stuff. I excelled brilliantly in the arts, in the English, even in history, in anything to do with the arts. And I remember in my final year of high school, there was something in Ontario at that time called the Ontario Music Leadership Camp. And I was chosen to represent my school and go. And that was, I think that might have been a turning point for me because I spent, I think, 4 weeks at a camp where it was the best in every school across Ontario that was a music person, and we were all together. And just the feeling of eating, drinking, living, this whole artistic life, I adored it. And I think after that was when I took a year off from high school and I worked. I worked doing all kinds of things, but we were always in the entertainment industry. I danced on a show called Boogie, which is fantastic. I started doing TV commercials. I did a Wear a Mustache milk campaign that went nationally, not only the commercials, but billboards. I worked on a show on CTV called Welcome to My World, which was a fantastic show. I did Check It Out, which was a sitcom that was going on.
Very popular.
Very popular one with Don Adams starring in it. And I did Polka Dot Door. Right. So I had all these things, and I thought I was living the life. I thought, everything was going really great. And but before even Polka Dot Door and those things, though, I went to Ryerson. I studied there. Maybe Ryerson and the TV commercials was my first inkling that there was not enough racial diversity going on in Canada. I was actually the first Black person ever to do a national television campaign.
Wow.
So you had to understand how little work there was, out there for that to happen. But by the time I got to Ryerson, they had about 1,500 applicants trying to get into the theater program, and they had to choose 40 students. I was the only person of color that they chose, in 40 students. So through my life, it's been, I've been blessed because I've usually been the one person that they kind of let in through the door. I mean, I had to kick the door in, but they let me in. But as I'm saying this too, it reminds me that 15 and 20 years later, as I kept coming back, living in Los Angeles, I kept coming back and forth. I got really discouraged when young people would come up to me, young people in the industry who were people of color, and they would say, Tonya, how can I get to the United States? How can I get to the US so that I can have a career? That really broke my heart because I knew I did it because there was absolutely no opportunity. But I thought 20 years later there would be more opportunity, and that's when my mind started to think about creating initiatives here. I kind of made a jump past Young and the Restless, but Young and the Restless was in there too. Being in Los Angeles, having an opportunity to audition in the different jobs I did there. Hill Street Blues, Falcon Crest, What's Happening Now, Give Me a Break with Nell Carter. I did a lot of guest spots there, but one fateful day in 1990, I had an audition that was going to change my life, and it was for Young and the Restless.
That was CBS.
That was CBS, having no idea when I got the job that, almost 14 years later, I would still be working in that job.
Victor.
Olivia, nice to see you.
You too. Would you care to have a seat?
Tell me about network shows, especially. I mean, when you start joining, shows of that high caliber, there is a rat race with respect to rating points. Competition between CBS, NBC, and ABC.
Yeah.
You're into that league right away. So when you're in a script session with your producers and with your co-actors, and you've got a cast of about 40 people, from what I understand, in Young and the Restless, tell me about the atmosphere and the collegiality and the spirit that goes with it.
When it's at that sort of level, everyone is within their department. As actors, we don't actually come together as a group because there's 40 of them. We sort of stay in the pockets of the families that we're in. I'm in a Winters family, and, but the producers definitely come together. They're the ones who have to deal on a day-to-day, and you're right, it's really brutal. It's everyone is fighting for audience and eyes getting on the screen, and our ratings are posted daily, for all of us to be looking at, and you can feel the pressure of it, and not so much in daytime because our show's been around for 30 years, and the chances that it's just going to fall, completely off the Richter scale is probably none. But there's a hallway when you enter CBS in the studio that I'm in, and mine's at Fairfax and Beverly, and there's many CBS studios. When you walk down this one hallway, and there are all these large photos of all the shows that are on TV right now, it really reminds you of the industry you're in, that every few months I see photos taken down. It means a show's been canceled. So every September I see these new beautiful photos up, and usually by Christmas, 4 or 5 of them are missing, and the new shows come up in this. So it's very competitive.
You've appeared in some very popular big shows like Oprah Winfrey, and a few other talk shows as well. Now tell me. Well,
you know what's lovely? It's that I'm in one of the most popular shows, definitely in America, in daytime. It's the most popular daytime show in Canada, in the Caribbean. It's, the show is actually in 96 markets, and it's a very popular show all around the world. So it's nice when we get to go on talk shows. Being on Oprah Winfrey was a wonderful opportunity, and so many of the other talk shows that we go on. In fact, I've been on shows in France. You know, Fou de l'Amour is the title of the show in Paris. I have a wonderful story. I was in Cannes with a friend of mine called Raoul Peck, who's an incredible international director. He did a movie called La Mamba, got a lot of attention. So we were in Cannes walking down the street together, and all these people, he said, were stopping and pointing, and at first he thought it was him. And then they were yelling, Fou de l'Amour, and he was just outraged. He's like, why would a daytime actress in Cannes be getting all this attention? But people, no matter whether in the film industry, or the television industry, whether in theater, there's something about daytime television that people embrace. They feel like we're family. I think that's how people embrace me, and that's a really nice job to be in, to work in an environment where when people come up to me, it's really like I'm either a long-lost sister or a best friend, and I don't know who they are, but they certainly embrace me like I've been in their lives for years, and in a way I have.
That's fascinating. You know, you've got tremendous communication skills. Obviously, it led to a bigger, another venture of yours. You decided to create a non-profit organization called the Reelworld Film Festival,
Yes.
which has made a tremendous impact in a very short time. Within 3 to 4 years, you've done an outstanding job. Our congratulations to you, by the way, and your team.
Thank you.
Tell me about the vision behind Reelworld Film Festival. What made you take that step?
Well, you know what's really interesting? I am about 97 when I was getting all this attention being on the show. People started inviting me to come to schools and speak on seminars and panels, and yes, I could touch 5 people's lives here or help 1 person there, but the problem that we had in Canada was so large in capacity. I mean, broadcasters were not being accountable for putting visible minorities, putting racial faces, on camera. They were certainly embracing cultural diversity, which is language diversity, but I still didn't see enough television shows that showed people of color on them. And for me, I'd been going to festivals my whole life. I think I was telling Wayne Clarkson, who was with the Toronto Film Festival board, and I saw him recently. I've been actually going to the Toronto Film Festival since 1982. So I'm a huge supporter of film festivals and what they can accomplish on a large scale. So an idea came to me that we had all these wonderful cultural festivals. We have an Asian festival, we have a South Asian festival, we have all these different things. I wanted to do one large festival that embodied everything that had to do with people of color that were in the entertainment industry, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera too. I didn't see, when I was working on shows in Canada, I didn't see the directors and the writers and the technicians and the crew people that were of color, and I felt even, I have to say, a little embarrassed, because we were now starting to attract filmmakers from the United States. And I remember Danny Glover coming up. I remember Robert Townsend coming up. And I remember them speaking to me and saying they couldn't find one single casting person in all of Toronto that was a person of color. Tonya, where are they? And I felt embarrassed, because here was Canada tooting this big horn saying we are a multicultural, diverse, whatever. We're saying these things, but the product that we were selling internationally certainly wasn't reflecting these things. And Reelworld is about bringing international product that reflects these things, and it's about helping our filmmakers of color in Canada get into the game. Let's try and even that playing field. Let's get them trained, and let's get them the exposure that they really deserve. And I feel passionate about that. So to me, Reelworld, it's a labor of love. It's not been like work for me, although everybody in the office, can tell you we work 24/7. We work weekends, we work nights. But we don't feel like it's a job. You can't do something like this. As you well know, you can't be in the entertainment industry like it's a job. It has to be part of the very sort of purpose of your life being here. And part of my purpose is this message. Well, as much as I embrace the Toronto Film Festival and I loved every bit of it, it reminded me of Cannes. In fact, I think Toronto Film Festival is the 2nd largest film festival in the world, next to the Cannes Film Festival. But whenever I would go to Sundance, there was an essence there that I hadn't seen in Canada.
More grassroots level.
It's a much more grassroots level, and it was really all about the filmmakers, supporting them, asking them what their needs were. What can we do to help you get further ahead in your career? That's what I wanted Reelworld to do. So, the first thing that I did was everybody wanted the festival set downtown Toronto. And the first thing I did was I loved the idea that Robert Redford set his, festival in Utah. And I'm sure when he first said it, there must have been a bunch of Hollywood people going, you're setting a festival in Utah. You know, why? I understood why, though, because you need less distractions. When
Ted Turner also launched CNN, you know, not out of Atlanta.
Yeah, I think these are great advantages that maybe people don't understand. When you're right downtown in a major city, when you bring big stars or people to sit on the panels, the minute they get a chance, they're going to disappear and they're going to go to restaurants and go off. And the young filmmakers don't get a chance to network, to meet these people.
Right.
So what I did is I moved it up to North York.
Great.
I moved it at Empress Walk, Silver City, the famous Players Theaters there,
Right.
with the Novotel right across the road. You can go underground without even seeing the snow or being a part of it. But Robert Townsend said something to me when he came in the year that he came to. He said, "You're brilliant." He goes, "It's like you trapped us here." And that's what I did. I trapped the sort of the bigger celebrities in an arena where the new up and coming talent have an opportunity not just to sit back and look at them from a distance. They actually get to sit and have a cup of coffee with them, share popcorn with them, talk about a movie, because that's an important facet of what they need to do. We have to nurture our people in the entertainment industry, and in particular, we have to nurture, it's sad to say, but I noticed that we especially had to nurture people in the industry who were of color, because they felt so sort of downtrodden, if I could put it any other way. They felt like they were the invisible people, that there was no one out there championing for them, that no one really cared if they made product or not. And I think the best compliment I had was the first year, it was hard finding Canadian product that was, you know, visible minorities. I mean, it was almost impossible. But I remember hearing young people come out of the theaters, because I would stand in the hallway of the theaters and listen to the gossip, and they'd say, "Next year I'm going to make something so I can put it in this festival." And that's really what it was all about. Let's not wait for the product to happen before we make a festival. I say making the festival creates more of that product. And then we've seen it this year. We're coming up now into our 4th year. We have so much product. I think we had over 1,000 submissions just from Canada alone this year, and we're talking year 1, we were lucky if we got 20. So people literally started now making product just to get it into the festival.
From what I understand, you're quite spiritual. In fact, I've heard that you even attended Dr. Deepak Chopra's sessions, I believe.
Yeah, no, I've been not only thrilled to...
In La Jolla.
Yes, I went to the sessions right at the center in La Jolla. I'm a huge fan of Deepak Chopra, of the Dalai Lama. I read a lot of those books. I'm a spiritualist.
Tonya, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the program with us.
Pleasure to meet a kindred spirit. You are doing a fantastic. Let me tell you, I've been to BET Studios in Hollywood. Your facilities far surpass what I've seen at BET.
Wow, you made my day.
You should go and see it. I'm not kidding. You have first class. It's absolutely brilliant what you've done here. You have sound stages, you have equipment, you have editing suites, you have a library just filled. No, I'm completely, I've never been up here. I'm completely inspired by what you've done here. I'm overwhelmed. This is brilliant. This is absolutely fantastic. And I wouldn't be surprised if when I see I see you building a larger soundstage and you'll be shooting movies here one day. I know that's next coming for you.
Well, you know, independently, a lot of us were somewhat successful. Collectively, we're all going to become much more successful.
I'm a believer in that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What
a great interviewer you are. That was fantastic. That was really fantastic.
It's easy to interview you. It's a pleasure to interview you.
Thank you. Made me feel very comfortable.